And we're back.
We're back. And by the way, I didn't need a password.
Oh,
So I am really confused.
you and me both. I'm not going to try to even figure that one out. I honestly did not think that you needed a password, and then you needed a password. So I said, okay, maybe you need a password, but then I don't know. I'm not even going to try to figure it out. So I don't know. Sometimes I think Zoom is trying to catch up with itself. You know what I mean?
Well, they frankly have had a market that has grown like astronomically.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's it's not surprising that they might be a little bit. And we just got a notice at school that we are changing from um, our IT organization doesn't manage the Zoom currently. So we use an external organization to manage it, which manages it, by the way, for all of California. And so as of I think the 26th of this month, the school system or the college system is trying to bring it all in house.
mm,
Well, I've been down this road before. I am I am glad that they are doing it over winter break rather than during the middle of the semester,
oops,
because I can
oops.
see this is going to be a challenge. A
It's
few
like
years ago, they tried to use a course management system called Moodle, which was an open source course management system. Well, they found out that you know their grasp did not exceed their reach. Let me put it that way. So we'll see.
there was there was a website that I was using to track television programs and that sort of thing, movies and whatever. Um, and for whatever I mean, the website was dated. It was not up to date by any stretch of the imagination, but it worked. And for
Uh
whatever
huh.
reason, the two people that owned the website decided that they were going to update and bring it to modern.
Oh boy.
Sounds great. Most
Yep.
web designers will do that in like a sandbox and test it out, roll it out to a few people and say, does it work? Not these guys. They did it to
They
everybody
just
at once and broke the entire thing. And could not figure out why people were mad because they broke the entire thing.
yeah. You never sandbox an operating system. I mean a production system. You always sandbox off the side someplace, and then when you have thoroughly vetted it, then
Yeah,
you
I mean,
but you do a rollout. You don't do a blow the
every
whole.
everybody was, oh, the site's changed. It looks pretty. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I can't even
Yeah,
log in anymore. What did you guys
yeah,
do?
yeah.
And then what they ended up, they still had the old site. So they said, well, here's a link to the old site. It still works, but we're going to try to fix this. They lost probably 90, between 90 and 95% of their clientele because there's other sites online that do the same thing and weren't
Yep.
a big cluster of messing up.
Yep.
So I don't know. It was one of those deals where you're going, you guys rolled this out to everyone and you didn't even test to make sure that it worked.
Yeah, that's one thing that I learned when I was working at Kaiser. They they had a very strict protocol. A rollout had to have a rollback strategy, and you had to have tested the rollback strategy in a sandbox.
Yeah.
So if you got out there and something went wrong, you could very quickly revert to the old system, which essentially meant when you brought up a new system, you brought it up in parallel with the existing system.
Right.
And then once the new system worked and was well vetted, then you gradually rolled people off the old system onto the new system.
Well,
It,
I
it
mean,
wasn't very efficient, but boy, it was bulletproof.
that's, if you look at some of the large companies like Google and eBay or whatever, when they want to make a site change, they usually pick 10,000 users or something that you know and flip them to the new site. And
Yeah,
well, then they get feedback on, did this work? Did this work? Did this do what we think it did? And you go, nope. Where's the old site? I want the old site.
yep,
but they
yeah, I know.
usually but they usually have the old site running in parallel, so the 10 million people that are using it aren't affected by the
Yeah,
10,000 that are the guinea pigs.
yeah, yeah. With Google, it's probably more like a couple of 100 million.
Well,
So,
yeah,
but
but it's still the same idea. They do it in a on a limited.
oh yeah,
They usually try to do feedback, and a lot of times I have gotten like emails from various companies. Do you want to you know we're offering you the chance to try this site before everybody else gets to, if you give us feedback or whatever. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I'll take my chance. Sometimes. Sometimes I'm
yeah.
like, no,
Well, it depends on how
just leave me
critical it
alone.
is. It depends on how critical it is too. I mean, if you've got production operations running on it, you're less inclined to risk it.
Yeah.
Kaiser was a healthcare company, is a healthcare
Yeah.
company, and so
Much
they,
less.
well, they're very
Yeah.
conservative.
Much
They're
less likely to mess things up. Or
well, the point is that anytime they made a change,
yeah.
um, it was very carefully thought out. However, it had a downside, and the downside was this: it was, first of all, it was an entirely Windows-based organization,
Yeah.
including their servers, not just desktops, but the entire place.
Excuse me.
I mean, and this was back in 2000 and 2003. So the entire place was Windows, which meant they were vulnerable to, I don't
Yeah.
know if you remember in 2002 or whenever it was that there were a couple of worms came out that just would travel across your network like mad. And one was I think one was called the love bug or something like that. And what happened was, because they had this strategy, they couldn't just roll in a new virus checker. They had to test it forever. Well, of course, that was deadly because meanwhile, this, this virus or worm or Trojan or whatever is, is just totally uh, annihilating the place. And it cost one uh, president, CEO of the IT organization his career. He now this is a guy that has direct and indirect reports to the tune of about 7,000. This is a big IT organization.
Yeah.
And basically, you know, we went down for a few days, and it was bad news, really bad news, and that was the end of him.
Yeah. But that website that I told you, they were down for almost 4 months,
Oh
maybe
boy!
even a little bit longer than that, trying to figure out what they did to solely screw up their own website.
Oh man! Oh
I mean, you know, they kept saying it's only going to be a couple of days. We've got this. We've figured it out. No, you guys don't know what
oops!
you're doing.
Oops! Oops! Yeah.
That's one reason why they lost between 90 and 95% of their people, was because they just could not figure out.
Yeah.
I've checked the website since it's been back and working, and it's a nice site, but I'm not going to use it.
Well,
They blew it.
if you've got a an organization that has bad management judgment, there's no solution to that. So the only solution to them is keeping them at arm's length. Ah, Vicente, you're back. Short coffee break.
He can't hear you. He doesn't have his ears on. There he goes.
Oh, there you go.
Hi, what happened?
We're talking to you and you can't hear us.
No, sorry.
No problem.
What's going on?
We're just gabbing. We're just here.
We're just telling war stories.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what you're talking about. I bought a new multimeter. This is
Okay.
the old one. The new one is exactly like this, but it has Bluetooth, so you can see in your computer or in your phone. You can see what is in the.
What's the brand?
Look like a fluke. Is that a fluke?
No, it's I don't know. Can you see the brand? Let me look for it and show you the real one. Just a second. Well, I was thinking that you can connect anything you are doing, connect the multimeter in some place, and you can check the voltages maybe in a robot or something. You can check without touching the
over Bluetooth.
Yeah, Bluetooth, yeah.
Huh.
And it costs two additional bucks. And I did it because when I opened this one, the batteries were open. The batteries full of acid.
They expanded.
Yeah, so the metal parts got corrode, and it never will work again. The same thing, So it's still usable. Okay, but when it corrodes, it's a problem because it's a matter of time. You will lose contact again. So it costs 27 bucks, I think. Let me check.
So what kind of batteries does it use? Just alkaline batteries?
Two AA.
Huh.
That's why, unless I'm using my multimeter a lot, I take the batteries out of it. I've got batteries. I've got multimeters with no batteries.
Well, you know what? I was using the batteries from Costco. What's the brand?
Kirkwood or
Kirkland, yeah.
Kirkland.
The last year was great because they behave like the um, Duracell, almost the same quality. But lately, almost all of them are just cracking open the batteries and destroying my stuff. So I decided to throw away all the Kirkland batteries and buy Duracell. It's more expensive, but in long term, it's cheaper. You save your stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I've had a problem recently. I didn't realize that was a generic problem, but I noticed that, and recently I've had a number of batteries have leaked, and I used the Kirkland batteries for a
Yeah,
long
that's my
time.
problem. It never happened before, but lately they are just leaking. I don't know why.
Sounds like their quality control went
Quality,
out
yeah,
of
maybe.
control.
So I don't want to risk my stuff with those batteries anymore.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the tester to show you in the screen. Just a second. It's a little slow.
Yeah, I don't really think I've had any problems with my Kirkland batteries.
No, I
But
never had, but lately.
I mine I bought my big pack probably 2 or 3 years ago. I still have them. So
Okay, I will share the
yep.
screen.
Okay.
So this is the guy. Let me increase the size of the page. This is Bluetooth digital multimeter. It's the same thing, it's the same functionality, but it has more buttons. Or it costs say 24 to 30 bucks. You have different choices with different kits. Pro, the Pro is full of stuff, connectors that you never use. So I discard the Pro, but I went to the model with the Bluetooth. This is the blue. This is the Blue Pro. I think I just bought the blue, just the blue. No, sorry. This is the color. I bought the red, but not in Pro version. Red, uh, black. This is the different colors. The back of the multimeter is of different colors. Red. This is one I bought from China. 27 bucks. You see?
Yeah.
This is the one I choose.
Is that a temperature probe?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
Nice.
And it comes with a pocket, a manual. You never use it. And the resolution and the precision is very good, very good. I mean, you can use more expensive multimeters, and this thing always is very precise, very good. I bought it because you know the Australian guy, David Jones, EE block or something like that. EV, let me look for the YouTube. Remember this guy, EEV.
Oh yeah.
Guy.
Yeah.
Every week I educate and entertain nerds like me on YouTube. And trust me, that takes a lot of talent. Roll the tape.
Look, this is his evaluation of the multimeter. I hate the ads in YouTube lately.
Skip
all the ads. Oh
I'm
my
using an
God.
ad blocker.
Oh my God. I so angry with that. And he's comparing the version with the black one with backlight and the one I have.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
I make another ad.
He's comparing. This is the unit I show you. I have both. I have this one in the basement. I have this one in my office. This is the one that got corroded contacts.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one I'm changing for the Bluetooth. The difference, they are the same. This one, the problem with this one is that the delay, when you check continuity, usually there is a delay between your touching, when you touch and you hear, there is a delay of maybe 300 milliseconds. But I hate that. I hate that. I need to check instantly because sometimes you are touching a lot of contacts to find out which one had the continuity. So with this guy is annoying because he is a delay between the sound and the short circuit detection. So I rather like the small one that is fast detecting the continuity circuit. That's the difference. I found this one is digital. The menu you can change with buttons, but it's a little bigger. It's power hungry because the screen is like FT or something. It's always on. This screen doesn't use energy at all. So this guy is good, always is good. I will put the link in our,
Okay.
just check it. You can buy it in Amazon for $5 additional bucks, but I like it. If you want to buy a multimeter that is useful and is very precise, just use this. Let me put the link here in the chat down. This is the link for the evaluation of the unit, okay? This Australian guy used to evaluate all kinds of multimeters, and he was amazed by the precision of this brand. Very, very precise, very stable, and very cheap. A Fluke with 3 digits costs $100+, you know. I have the Fluke also. I have several multimeters, but I like this one. It's my favorite. It's small.
Hey, Vicente.
Hi.
That's the one. The one I use all the time.
No, this thing is
the cheapest one I could possibly find.
You know what? I have this multimeter and I have another unit to check transistors, inductors.
Yeah.
It's a specialized for that, but for the daily work, I like this thing.
Yeah.
Like this.
So you have an LCR meter then?
Yes, also.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but,
wait, you know where this one came from, right?
No.
That's the Harbor Freight Special. That's the free.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. This one's right up my alley. I use this thing all the time.
But it's
I
enough
don't
for
trust
many.
it, but I use it. I mean, it's good. It does what it's supposed to do, but I don't. For precision, you don't want to trust it.
Yeah, I love this one for the price and the precision, so I can use it all the time.
You know, for the low price of $3 to $5, my multimeter works all right.
But this is the thing I more like of it is. See?
Yeah.
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 It's good. It works.
I've got, I don't know where it's at. I've got a really old fluke. It's probably 20 years old or so. That's a nice meter.
Yeah. But this thing has more resolution and is more precise than the fluke. So I say, oh wow. Hey, let's do it.
And it costs
I may
less.
maybe there is a couple of weeks left to have the other one, the Bluetooth one, and we can just check online here how it works and what can be done with it. So.
Yeah. I was at a garage sale. I'm kicking myself to this day. Probably 5 or 6 years ago, we were at a garage sale, and the guy had a bunch of fluke meters.
Okay.
And he wanted $5 a piece for them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was like, do I really need more meters?
No, but you buy them.
I'm kicking myself because I didn't buy them. I'm like, I kept thinking to myself, these can't really be flukes. The guy's asking for $5. They can't really be flukes.
There is a lot of stuff that I used to buy again and again. I don't need it. I have plenty of those things, but I continue buying the same stuff.
Yeah.
Again and again.
He had a square D meter. And I went back to the car and Googled it because I had never seen it before. And it was a fluke. It was just rebranded with the Square D logo on it.
Really?
And when I walked back up to get it, because that one I was going to buy from, somebody had already bought it. And I was like, I said, somebody must have realized what that one was before I realized.
Somebody make you a favor.
$5. And I bet for $50 you probably could have taken all 20 of them he had.
So what was this guy? Why would he have so many meters?
He looked like...
No, he used to evaluate meters, so he has meters.
He had a bunch of Square D stuff there too, so he probably was some sort of electrical contractor or something.
I thought you were talking about the Australian guy, but he has all the meters of all.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's interesting. He has some tiny courses about stuff. Very interesting sometimes.
Yeah.
He used a whiteboard and explain stuff in the whiteboard, and sometimes it's interesting.
I still like. I love watching. Who is he? Andre, the Swedish guy.
Mm-hmm. Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
He had a problem with an eye for a while, but now he looks fine again. Yeah.
Yeah. His videos I always learn something by watching his videos.
I like to see his videos, but he has a lot of mistakes about some stuff. I used to, okay, this is not true. Okay, but it's okay. It's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah. There is another one that has a basement that, with a everything painted in blue with all the tools in the world. An old guy, I don't remember the name. He used to do a lot of graphic design to present stuff. Let me check. He all the it's easy to find because he always used blue screens in his easy to find, but not for me. Yes, Peter. I never what you call when you register for a channel.
Subscribe?
I never subscribe anything because I want to just search freely and don't be bothered by a lot of stuff just popping up. So I have no subscriptions at all in YouTube.
I subscribe to a half a dozen or so, but I always get recommended stuff that has nothing to do with anything.
Let me share the screen to show the guy I am talking about.
Yep.
But you must wait for the ads.
Another ad.
This is the guy. Let me see, show the face. Show your face here. You know him?
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I've watched him.
Oh
he
yeah.
He is very organized. Very. He speaks slow, and it's interesting.
He's very methodical.
Yeah. Exactly.
Very methodical.
Yeah.
I use him from time to time to illustrate something for my classes.
Yeah.
But some of the younger students just don't have enough patience to.
Yeah, exactly. He's very slow sometimes. You already understood and you continue hearing the same thing and slow explanations, and sometimes you need to go faster. Maybe the young people need to go faster than me also. And you say, oh my God. Well, stop share. I put the link here, but you know who it is. Who is him?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
Tons of deals on holiday gifts? Yep. Today in the workshop, we're working with the ESP30.
I don't think I've ever seen this guy.
No? It's interesting. Yeah. He's good explaining stuff. Very methodical, as Art said.
The Drone Bot Workshop.
He explained everything. You can understand everything with him because it's methodical. He's go slow, explaining everything. And it's interesting.
Well, okay.
Something new. Art, what you do? You play with something? Any software? Any language you like?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
No, you use some language for teaching or for working, or I mean Python or C, or you work with
well, in my class, this term and last term, I was using strictly the Arduino, and basically that's a modification of C++. Okay. We have not in my class used Python. Now I've used Python for some of my own experiments, and you know, years ago I wrote a lot of C, not C++, but C. what I'm using in my class this term, at least,
Mhm.
is primarily the Arduino IDE,
Okay.
and the reason for that's very practical.
Yes,
We
yes,
have
it
a
is.
we have a PLC course.
Yeah, okay,
The student stations cost roughly $1,500 a pop,
okay.
plus an annual licensing fee. These are Allen Bradley. And of course,
Yeah,
Allen Bradley, nothing's cheap.
yeah.
So when we were forced off campus back in March, uh, I had to figure out something to do to continue
Arduino.
this.
Yeah.
And so I said, all right, let's go with the Arduino. And I we were I got the school to buy kits for the students,
Yeah.
one kit per student. And first we were working with SparkFun, and their kits were about 100, $110, something like that. But then um, I found
Mhm.
an outfit called Igloo or something like that. EEGLU.
Uh-huh.
Leroy, do you know who it is exactly?
Um,
I
And
hear that song.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
And it's
they they sell a kit which is almost the same as the SparkFun one. It's available on Amazon, and I think it's like 35 or $40,
okay,
something
exactly.
like that.
That's it.
And I said, all right,
That's it. That's it.
this is a no-brainer.
Yeah,
So I got the school to buy a bunch of these, and we basically just issued them to all the students.
perfect.
And I can still teach the same principle: timers and counters and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
analog inputs and
Output.
PWM outputs and so forth and so on.
Driving
Uh,
tiny motors.
oh yeah, they have some. They have some motor. They have some servo in there.
Okay.
They have a little tiny motor. They got a bunch of stuff in there. I
Okay,
mean,
good.
they got one of these ultrasonic distance.
Ultrasonic sensor. Okay.
They have
Perfect. Perfect for
plus they
a
plus they
beginner
have
class. This is perfect.
a whole ton of
Resistors, LEDs, and stuff.
resistors and LEDs and so forth and so on, so that you don't have the students going out and trying to figure out how to buy all of these individual
Perfect.
parts.
Perfect. Perfect.
They get a kit. Bam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that the yeah?
Well, this one
I
is
don't.
stepper motor.
There's
Yeah, there's a little stepper motor in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the Igloo plan, and that
That's
one.
perfect. I think that's perfect. Perfect.
That one is only $29.75.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know that
it's on sale. It's on sale, dropped from $35.
Oh, okay. Because when we bought them last spring, they were around 35, 40
Yeah.
bucks,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
You they make a larger kit that's got more stuff in it that I think is around $50.
But I think this one is perfect
Yeah.
for beginner class.
yeah, but
Wow.
I mean, this is an introductory course. I mean, I'm teaching these guys. This is a resistor and what a resistor does.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is a capacitor. And, you know, this is a servo and here's how a servo works. And so
You need to use one of these in the class to teach. Well, there are cheaper ones, but
yeah,
I think it's nice that they measure physical units, you know, with it.
oh yeah.
Values, but voltages and this kind of things.
Go to Harbor.
Well,
Go to Harbor Freight and get the free multimeter so you can make your
$5.
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So basically what I do when I teach this course is we go through a series. I outline for them a series of progressively more difficult new topic
Perfect.
projects. So they go through, in the course of 16 weeks, they go through 10, 12 projects.
Okay.
They start out with really simple stuff like
Yeah.
how to blink an LED.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we progress through to the point that um, they're using things like servos and the ultrasonic distance measurements and so forth and so on.
Great.
And then each student, in order to pass the class, in order to get a passing grade, must select and do a single project.
Okay.
Not one of the in-class projects, but one
Another
of
one.
them which they pick out, and they can pick them out. The big problem there is, the guy says, "Wow, gee, I think I'll do an anti-gravity machine or something."
What age are you teaching? Age?
These are community college students, so my average age is probably 35.
Okay.
And the youngest of them, it's rare that I have somebody straight out of high school.
Yeah. Sometimes they have more difficulty with the same stuff, right? That the
Yeah,
younger
but these are, for the most part, they're tradesmen, because I'm teaching it in a HVAC and facilities maintenance technology department. So these guys, for the most part, have no clue about any programming language or whatever. And so they're starting in from scratch,
Right.
learning a little bit of electronics.
Your job is amazing. Your job is amazing. Yeah.
And the oldest that I have in my class, there's nobody as old as me, of course.
Yeah.
But the oldest guys I have in my class, I have some guys that are probably pushing 60.
Right.
And what happens is this: the PLC class is a premium class for HVAC technicians.
Okay.
If they can program PLCs and they understand PLC programming, they basically get a couple of notches up the pay scale and so forth and so on. So unfortunately, we can't issue a $1,500 PLC to each student. So the Arduino became the
perfect. Yeah.
and in the
But
past.
I think that there is a interpreter for Arduino to process a stair language, ladder language for PLCs.
Yeah.
You can use the ladder language in the Arduinos. There are compilers for that, but
there is.
the same.
The last time I looked at it, and I haven't looked at it for a year or two, it was a little bit cumbersome.
Okay.
And given that these guys are struggling with their computer skills,
and try to too much.
I try to keep the hurdles to a minimum,
as simple as possible. Yeah.
And some of them are very bright. I'm always amazed at how clever some of these guys are.
It must be very different levels, all kind of levels,
Oh yeah. It's complicated by the fact that in a typical classroom, I'm the only guy there who doesn't speak Spanish or Vietnamese.
Okay.
There are very few people there who natively speak English. There's a bunch of them there.
That's why you understand me. When I speak.
No, I don't know.
I understand now.
They're very. You're very clear, but there are a lot of them that are bilingual. Okay. For example, a lot of this school, I would guess that over 50% of the students in the school where I teach are Hispanic origin, but a lot of them are second and third generations, which means they're completely bilingual. which means that their English is essentially accentless.
Okay.
Is that a word?
Yeah, yeah,
Without
yeah,
an
yeah,
accent.
But but they understand everything.
And they're, well, for spoken language, that's true. Their written language can be a little dicey,
Okay.
but at any rate, but they also, to the best of my knowledge, they speak accentless Spanish. And then the ones that are real challenge are the Vietnamese guys.
Okay.
They they have an interesting technique. If you don't understand, they repeat the same thing faster. so,
Okay.
if you say, "I didn't get that," you know, they take that as a challenge. Obviously, I didn't say it fast enough. So, at any rate,
instead of slowing down, they go faster.
so anyway, but I'll tell you, in terms of my teaching experience, and by the way, I've been a serial entrepreneur, physicist, engineer for over 60 years at this point. So, you know, I've worked in a lot of different environments, but this teaching has always been a sidelight with me. I do it occasionally. So about 20 years ago, I was teaching in a Chinese university in Fremont, California.
You know what? I am doing that also.
You taught in a Chinese university?
No, not just teaching, maybe in a community college or something.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
Right?
It's really fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm teaching in this Chinese university, and it was a pretty good deal because I had a teaching assistant.
Okay.
So all I had to do was prepare the lectures, give the lectures,
Okay.
and
then
build,
did your assistant take care of the follow?
all the grading, all of that stuff.
Great.
So at any rate, so one day we're walking down the hall together, and there were a bunch of Chinese girls there. I use the term girls. They were college age girls, okay? And they start chattering at him, and he said, "I don't understand." I said, "What do you mean you don't understand?" He said, I don't speak Chinese. Now this guy looked Chinese, said, "I don't speak Chinese. I'm from Peru." Now his English was perfect. Apparently his Spanish was perfect, but he spoke no Chinese. So
there is a lot of Asian people in Peru.
Well, apparently there is a huge number of Chinese there, and
Japanese also. Well, actually, one of the president was Japanese.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So anyway,
Fujimori was the name of the president.
Oh, that sounds
Japanese.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at any rate, he speaks no Chinese. Apparently his family had been there several generations, so they'd gotten to the point where they no longer were teaching the kids Chinese. Okay. And exactly. They were learning Spanish. And one day I saw him out in the parking lot with a low rider. I don't know if you know what a low rider is, but it's one of these cars that has been lowered and you can jump.
You can move that way.
Oh yeah.
The suspension is with
those are very popular amongst the Hispanic kids there. So he's out there leaning on the side of this low rider, talking to a bunch of his buddies in Spanish, and they're going a mile a minute. So That was my assistant. That
Okay.
my,
Your Chinese assistant.
my Chinese assistant. Yeah, he was very good though. I mean, basically, all I had to do was the lectures, put together the assignments, put together the tests. He graded everything. I
Right.
mean,
This is the best part. I hate
oh yeah,
great
oh
people.
yeah.
Huh?
I got all the gravy part of the job, and he
Yeah,
got.
yeah.
And I think that the deal was, I'm pretty sure the deal was that he got some relief on his tuition because
Okay,
this was not an inexpensive school.
okay, okay.
This
In
was
exchange
not an
of this
inexpensive.
We're down to
TA
about
work, right?
55 seconds, guys.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Was
50.
nice. Was a very nice conversation. I like.
Yeah,
So I hope Jim will be with us next
yeah,
week.
yeah. I'm hoping
hope
he's
so.
back.
I mean,
Let's see. Anyway, when you talk with the wife, what's the name?
Gail.
Say hi.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been
So,
I've been telling her, you know, we're all thinking about him. So
yeah, we're
Okay.
pushing for him.
yep. So all right, guys. I
Nice to
guess
see you.
it's time to go and order food, and I will see you guys next week.
Great.
Okay, take care.
All right.
Have a good
Bye,
one.
you too.
Bye.
Bye.